we will be going through the setup of the Egx-30 for plastic engraving and scribing. We will be plastic engraving with our Egx-30 using our supplied hex wrench, .010 cutter tool, spanner wrench, nose cone, and our engraving stock. First thing we do is we turn our Egx-30 on. When the machine comes on, we have our select light, which selects engraving or scoring. Scoring is also known as scribing. And the pause light is blinking. First thing we do is press the pause button, and at this point the machine's going to initialize. It's going to initialize the carriage first, which is your y-axis. As well as our Z. Once the machine's done initializing, we take our AS10 adhesive sheet, place it on the table, push it flat down. Next, we get our engraving stock and set our engraving stock on the table as well. And once we've done this, we are going to press the origin point button, which should move the carriage to our origin point. Now at this point, we are going to install our cutter holder and cutting tool. Next, we're going to take our nose cone and install it to our spindle assembly. The nose cone does have a notched end to it. Once you fit it in, you're going to rotate it so it locks in place. Then you're going to take your thumb screw and gently turn it till it's snug. You do not want to over tighten. We take our cutter holder and we install it onto our spindle assembly. Once we hand tighten it, we can come back and tighten it up using the supplied wrench. To set the origin position, you're going to use your arrow keys to move the carriage over the lower left corner of your material. Once you've got it over the lower left corner of your material, you're going to press and hold the origin button until the light comes on. And the light will remain on even after releasing. Next is to set our Z0 or the surface. At this point, we can use the up arrow key, left arrow key, and move the carriage somewhere over a flat spot on the material. We then press the set surface button, and the nose cone will touch the surface of the material. Once that's done, we'll then insert our cutter tool until we touch the surface of the material. And then using our supplied hex wrench, we'll then tighten our hex nut to the cutter tool. Once the Z0 has been set, you're going to go ahead and press the set surface button to raise the Z-axis. Then using the supplied spanner wrench, you're going to adjust the nut on the nose cone counterclockwise until you have roughly 0.010 of an inch of the blade sticking out, or whatever depth you prefer. Once this is complete, you can bring the machine back to the origin point, and you can perform a test by pressing and holding down the set surface button. If further adjustment is needed, you can do so using the spanner wrench on the nose cone.
Now that we've set up your Egx-30 for plastic engraving, we're going to set up the bundled software Dr. Engrave. We're going to go ahead and launch the application and set up our print driver. We do so by clicking on File and Print Setup. In the printer drop-down menu, you want to ensure that you select the Egx-30 as your engraving device and click on Properties. And then click on Advanced. This will bring up the print driver. The first thing we're going to do is set up our work size settings. We do so by clicking on Work Size Settings and Properties. In the Properties window, we're going to add a new work size, and we will be working with a 6x4 work area. We want to select the inches as our units, and we're going to manually input our 6 inches by 4 inches. Click OK. For Move to View Position, we want to turn that on. What this means is that once the machine is done engraving, the carriage will move out of the way and allows you to remove the engraved piece off the table. All of the other settings do not pertain to the Egx-30, as your XY speed, your spindle speed, and your score and engrave selections are manual selections on the Egx-30. At this point, we will click OK. Click OK again, and click OK for a print setup. With Windows XP in 2000, we need to go back to File and Print Setup, and under our paper size, we need to reselect our newly created work size settings, 6x4, and click OK. At this point, we're going to add in text as well as a graphic. To add in text, we can select the Draw Text icon, or if we need to put text in a specific area, we can use the Draw Text Box icon. For our sample, we'll be using the Draw Text icon. You can click anywhere on the screen, and then you can type in your text. Once you have your text typed in, you can click on the Select Object icon, and at this point we can move our text anywhere on the screen. We can also resize our text on the screen as well. If I need to change the font or my justification, I can merely right-click on the text and click on Properties. This will bring up your text string properties. In the text string properties, I can change the height, width, angle, character spacing, line spacing, the font, as well as my justification. As far as the fonts, I can utilize any of the Windows TrueType fonts on my system, or I can use a selected number of single line fonts which are available on the Roland support site, as well as you can also create your own single line fonts based off a TrueType font that you like. We'll be using a single line font that was downloaded off the Roland support site. We'll use Gothic 1. I also want this to be center justified, so I will click the center justification icon and click OK. Now my document is center justified. At this point, I'm going to add in a graphic. You can add in a graphic by a number of means. You can either click on File and Import. When you import, you can import a .bmp file, and Dr. Engrave will vectorize that for you. Our software is also 2032 compliant. This means that if you have a desktop scanner connected, you can scan your logo and Dr. Engrave will vectorize it into the software. You also have your shapes. In the shapes, you can have symbols. You can add symbols, meaning if you have a graphic that you use regularly, you can actually add it in as a symbol as opposed to importing it each and every time. I am going to install or include a symbol into my document. Dr. Engrave comes with a number of included symbols. Once you select your symbol of choice, you're going to click the Insert and click Close. At this point, you can reposition your graphic anywhere on the screen. You can also resize your graphic as well. Once you have your graphic laid out and you have your text laid out where you want it, we're ready to engrave. To output the file, you merely click on File, click on Print, ensure that your printer is the Egx-30A, and at this point you can click on OK to output.
Now we've successfully set up and engraved a piece of plastic with your Egx-30.